All right, today we're headed to Samoa to explore a way of life where family, land, and leadership are all tangled together in a way that's, well, it's probably like nothing you've ever seen before. We're going to dive deep into this incredible system, and it's called the Fa'amatai. So to really get Samoa, you have to start with the land itself. And here's a fact that just changes everything. A whopping 81% of all the land there isn't owned by a person. It can't be bought or sold. It belongs to the family forever. And as you can imagine, that one single fact completely shapes how the entire society works. Okay, so if land is power and the families own almost all of it, who is actually calling the shots? Who is making the big decisions for these huge family networks?
That would be the Matai. The Matai is the chief, the chosen head of the extended family. But here's what's so fascinating. Their authority doesn't just come from some legal document. Nope. It's rooted in ancient legends, especially the story of a powerful, and I mean powerful, warrior goddess.
Okay, let's get into the basics here. This whole structure, it's the bedrock of what's known as Fa'a Samoa, which literally means the Samoan way. And believe me, it's so much more than a government system. It's a social blueprint that dictates everything from daily life to how communities share their resources. The official name for this system is Fa'amatai. If you break it down, Fa means in the way of, and Matai refers to the family title or name. So it's literally the way of the chiefs. And this isn't just a part of the culture. It is the central pillar holding the whole thing up.
And, nothing shows you how deep this connection to the land goes better than this ancient proverb. It warns that the man who sells family land will not live to an old age. See, selling the land isn't just a bad investment. It's seen as a profound betrayal of your ancestors and of every generation that's supposed to come after you.
So let's zoom in on the most important figure in this whole system, the Matai. Calling them a leader doesn't quite cover it. They're more like a guardian, a custodian of the family's entire legacy and all its resources. Remember that 81% figure? Well, all of that land is managed by a Matai, and they do it on behalf of their aiga, their extended family. And we're not talking about a handful of cousins here. An aiga can be huge, hundreds and hundreds of relatives. The Matai's job is to make sure that land is working for the good of every single one of them. Now, it's not quite that simple because not all chiefs are created equal. You've got two main ranks. First, there's the ari'i, that's the high chief, the sacred leader of the family. And then you have the tulafale, the orator chief. Think of them as the master storyteller, the keeper of history, and the powerful public voice for the ari'i. They're a team, really, a perfect balance of sacred authority and eloquent speech. But where does all this authority really come from? I mean, at its deepest level. To answer that, we have to travel back to the realm of myth and meet an absolutely incredible figure named Nafanua. She was the warrior goddess who, as the story goes, laid out the blueprint for Samoan leadership itself. So who was Nafanua? Legend says she was a demigod, daughter of the spirit of the underworld no less. She saw her people suffering under cruel, oppressive rulers, so she rose up and led a war to free them. She was such a brilliant and fierce warrior, she actually led her armies with her chest bound so the enemy wouldn't know their great liberator was a woman. I mean, how amazing is that? She became the ultimate symbol of justice and courage in Samoan culture. And this is where things get really wild. Because a prophecy delivered by this very same warrior goddess ends up crashing right into recorded history. It's the moment that completely changes Samoa's destiny. So after she won all these battles, a great chief named Malietoa came to Nafanua, hoping to be granted a high title. But she told him he was too late, the titles were already given out. But then, she gave him this incredible prophecy. A new kingdom, she said, would come to him from heaven, and he would be its ruler. For generations, that prophecy was just passed down, story to story. And then, in 1830, a ship appears on the horizon. On board is the missionary John Williams. The chief at the time, also a Malietoa, saw this ship and believed this was it. This was the literal fulfillment of Nafanua's prophecy. The kingdom from heaven had arrived. He embraced Christianity, and that single decision, born from an ancient myth, steered Samoa onto its modern course. So, here's the real kicker. The Fa'amatai system isn't some dusty relic of the past. It is alive, it's breathing, and it is the absolute backbone of how Samoa is governed right now, today. Just look at how their modern democracy is completely woven into this tradition. If you want to run for a seat in parliament, you can't. Not unless you hold a Matai title first. Your extended family, your Aiga, has to choose you. They bestow the title on you in a big formal ceremony, and only then can you even think about running for office. That means every single member of the Samoan parliament is a chief first and a politician second. Just think about that.
So what about the gender dynamic here? Well, men and women both have the right to hold Matai titles. But as you can see, men are still chosen far more often. But that 10.5%, that's really significant, and it reflects a deep, powerful tradition of female leadership, one that goes all the way back to the warrior goddess herself. And wow, is that legacy visible today? You can draw a straight line from the spirit of Nafanua to modern leaders like Fiame Naomi Matafa, who is herself a high chief and just recently became Samoa's first ever female prime minister. It's just such a powerful connection between the nation's mythic past and its political present.
So in the end, the Fa'amaitai system really leaves us with this big, fascinating question. In a world that so often tells us to pick one, the old ways or the new, Samoa shows us a completely different path. It's a place where myth shapes history, family land is the economy, and an ancient title is your ticket to modern government. It's a living, breathing answer to one of the biggest challenges we all face.